Shalom, shalom again, brethren. I'm sharing the second part of the lesson study entitled Christianity Masquerades as Good, but its foundations are evil. There will be more parts to this lesson study as more information is uncovered and researched about Christianity's foundation. Now, the Roman Catholic Church has laid other foundation than that of which the Scripture has laid, within which most of the world's Christian religions, if not all, and some non-Christian religions are built upon. Yes, most Christian religions, as I have said, if not all, and some non-Christian religions are built on a foundation that was laid by the Roman Catholic Church. In this video, I will continue to address specifically Christianity and its foundation. Is it scriptural or pagan? And what are its origins? In 1 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 11 it reads, "For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Yahushua HaMashiach." I have read in part 1 of this lesson study the Creed of the Constantinople Church. I will read it again so that as we go further into this lesson study, we will see exactly why the information is pertinent to the foundation of Christianity. The original Creed of Constantinople Church was written in Latin and later translated into English. It reads as follows in the English: "I renounce all customs, rites, legalisms, unleavened breads, and sacrifices of lambs of the Hebrews, and all the other feasts of the Hebrews, sacrifices, prayers, aspirations, purifications, sanctifications, and propitiations, and fast, and new moons, and Shabbats, and superstitions, and hymns, and chants, and observances, and synagogues." Absolutely everything Yahudim, that is to say Jewish, every law, rite, and custom, and if afterwards I shall wish to deny and return to the Yahudim superstition, or shall be found eating with Yahudim, or feasting with them, or secretly conversing and condemning the Christian religion, instead of openly confuting them and condemning their vain faith, then let the trembling of Cain and the leprosy of Gehazi cleave unto me, as well as the legal punishments to which I acknowledge myself liable. And may I be anathema in the world to come. It goes on to say, and may my soul be set down with Hashatan and the devils. So we see that this creed of the Constantinople Church, which was ordered and written and enforced by Constantine, we see that it denounces everything that is Hebrew. Also, one should notice that when we read the Creed of Constantinople Church, we can clearly see that the Torah had not ended at the time of Yahushua's crucifixion, as many teach, but it was eliminated by Constantine himself 300 years later in the name of proclaiming his new religion called Christianity, in order to be at peace with the Roman Emperor Constantine and not be executed as a heretic. One was required to accept his new replacement religion called Christianity and his new replacement God, Jesus Christ. Today, all the professed Protestant church denominations continue to stand in line to receive their official stamp and title of authentication as a Christian church, who will renounce all things Hebrew and all or partial teachings from the Torah. In order to become one of them, and that is to say a Christian, one must submit to the heathen and blood-stained creed of the Constantinople Church, which took root in AD 325 and since that time has proactively brainwashed the people universally to ignore the teachings of Yahuwah in the original covenant, Torah. In this way, making pagan infidels out of the unsuspecting church attendees. From the time of the crucifixion of Yahushua HaMashiach to the days of Constantine, which are approximately 300 years, the Mashiach's true followers, the Nazarene, were called Quattrodecimin, in other words, 14ers, by the Romans as mentioned. They were never called Christians. This was because the Nazarene, the followers of Yahushua, continued to keep Passover according to the 14th day of the first lunar month Abib, as counted from the new moon in spring. But after AD 325, these Quattrodecimian or Nazarene were compelled to under penalty of death to recant and join the Roman Catholic Holy Communion of Christianity and to depart from their distinctly original covenant Torah law keeping, the way of the Yahudims. Now the term Christian did not exist prior to 325 AD, and the name Jesus Christ was the result of the Greek translation to Latin and then later to English. Changing the name of the Mashiach was not the result of a simple language barrier, but outright refusal of Roman Emperor Constantine to pay homage to a Hebrew Yahudim Mashiach, or his Hebrew name. So they replaced the name of the Hebrew Mashiach with a name his Hebrew followers would never consider using as a replacement for Yahushua HaMashiach, a name his mother had never knew or called him. Yahushua's mother never even heard the name Jesus Christ. Now concerning Christian denominations, some of them do teach some truth, while still holding firm to much of their founding fathers' views of the scriptures. All the while, they sustain much of the mother church's pagan traditions. Most of these denominations' doctrines were put in place through the decrees of the Roman Emperor Constantine, first at the Council of Nicaea, and later by Emperor Julian at the Council of Laodicea. One can see then that none of these councils have no relevance to the true prophetic Mashiach of Scripture. When we read Matthew chapter 15, verse 9, it reads, "But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrine the commandments of men." And this is exactly what is going on in the Christian church today in 2020. When we thoroughly examine the creed of the Constantinople church, it puts one in the mind of the abomination that makes desolate, spoken of by the prophet Daniel in chapter 11, verse 31 to 32, and also chapter 12, verse 11. It reads, "And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily, and they shall place the abomination that make desolate, and such as do wickedly against the covenant shall be corrupt by flatteries, but the people that do know their Elohim shall be strong and do exploits." Daniel chapter 12 verse 11 reads, "And from the time that the daily shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days." When addressing his Talmudim, his disciples, about the signs of his return and of the end of the world, Yahushua in Matthew chapter 24 verse 15 said, "When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let him which be in Judea flee into the mountains." So clearly we see also that Yahushua spoke of this abomination of desolation. Now, bringing your attention back to the Christian church, we see that most Christian church members of the varying denominations don't even study church history. They do not want to know the truth, or they are purposely being misled by their church leaders for the sake of so-called peace and unity, even if that unity is established on a false foundation of doctrines. So, brethren, this is the end of part 2. Most of the historical information that is in this lesson study is taken from the Creed of Constantinople Church, the writings of the early church father Jerome, and the Council of Laodicea, which was overseen by the Emperor Julian, and also from the Council of Nicaea, which was overseen by the Roman Emperor Constantine. But above all, the scriptures hold sway in all of the lesson studies. Shalom, brethren.